Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Sunday, October 9th, 2022. It has been over a week since I've recorded one of these, but I'm happy to be back. As you may have noticed, I am in a new location, and my apartment move is done, and I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I want to kind of get back to the exorcism stuff and see if we can finish the learning track. So today in our syllabus, we're going to be working on the with concept. So, with is a special form that provides a way to focus on the happy path of a series of potentially failing steps and dealing with the failures later. So, in this example, there's three things you want to accomplish before to return a value, and with is a way to kind of capture that. So, in this case, we've got our first line with where we say get the ID given a username, and that's assuming that matches OK and an id value. We then will run fetch avatar, which accepts ID. We then, assuming it works, gets back an OK and an avatar. And then as our third line, we have check valid image type. We give it the avatar, and we, assuming it works, we get back an OK tuple with the image type. And then with all of those values, we'll then return the OK tuple with a 3-value tuple with OK atom, image type, and avatar. And then underneath with is this else block. And so this is where you capture any errors. So for example, if you are aware that, for example, get ID can fail with a not found atom, you can pattern match that in the else, and then for the purposes of our with statement, return back error invalid name. Similarly, if you passed in check valid image type and you passed in an avatar and it didn't work and you got back an error tuple that said error, not an image, you can return that back. And then otherwise you can capture everything else inside of the variable ERR and then just return that as is. At each step, if a clause matches, the chain will continue until the do block is executed. If one match fails, the chain stops and the non-matching clause is returned. If you have the option of using an else block to catch failed matches, you have the option of using an else block to catch failed matches and modify the return value. More learning with special form, so forth. So yeah, so we commonly use with to do just like this, where you have a task that involves multiple results, and you only want to kind of move forward if all of the return values are proper. I think the biggest thing that comes up when you're learning this is the awkward syntax of the left pointing arrow, which is not something that you see often in Elixir. And frankly, I can't really speak to why that is the case. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will look that up in for future reference. But it is kind of something that pops up as you're learning, because it's not something that's intuitive to the other syntax of Elixir. So for now, I'll just ask you to bear with me with that understanding. And so for with, we're going to be working on the new passport exercise. We will learn one concept. So your passport is about to expire, and so you need to drop by the city office to renew it. You know from previous experience that your city office is not necessarily the easiest to deal with, so you decide to do your best to always focus on the happy path. You print out the form you need to get your new passport filled out, jump into your car, drive around the block, park, and head to the office. All the following tasks will require implementing and extending get new passport /3. Okay, so with that done, we'll open up our example. And I'll dismiss my tip. If you have shell integration, you can star director to keep it always at the bottom of the recent directory. Yeah, there you go. And we're going to open this up in VS Code. And let's see here. So we've got our new passport. And we'll put our test file up here. We'll put our README down here. And we'll hide our bar there. We can collapse these for now. Is that going to? I'm trying to see if that'll run. If that'll show me the it doesn't show you the things. Okay, so we'll just do this one by one. Okay, so task 1. It turns out that the building is only open in the afternoon and will not at the same time. It turns out that the building is only open in the afternoon and not at the same time every day. Call the function enter building with the current time given to you as the first argument of get new passport. If the building is open, the function will return a tuple with OK and a timestamp, and you will need later. Otherwise, a tuple with error in a message for now. The happy path can return the OK tuple. Okay. So we're going to be working all of our stuff in here, and all of this stuff is just going to be working for us. So we'll just start this off with this is call the function enter building, and we'll pass it now. And we're going to capture when this works. So okay. Timestamp, and we're just going to call it with an underscore for now because we're not going to need it. And then what do we need to return? For now, the happy path can return the OK tuple. Okay, so we'll just return OK timestamp. And that should get us past task 1. So we'll run our test. And that looks green, green, green. So we're happy with that. Then we'll do task 2. Go to the information desk and find which counter you should go to. The information desk is notorious for taking long coffee breaks. If you're lucky enough to find someone there, they will give you an instruction manual which will explain which counter you need to go to depending on your birth date. Call the function find counter information with the current time. You will either get a tuple with OK and a manual, represented by an anonymous function, or a tuple with coffee break and more instructions. In your happy path, where you receive the manual, apply it to your birthday. Second argument of get new passport. It will return the number of the counter where you need to go. Return OK tuple with that counter number. Okay, all right. So we're going to need another block. So here we'll get back manual. And this is going to be find counter information. And that's going to accept our... I don't think calling it timestamp is really good. Enter building. I'm just going to call it... I'll leave a timestamp for now. I don't... I mean, it's a daytime value. It's a naive daytime, but I don't know how better to describe that yet. Okay, so it's going to return manual, and then once you have the manual, you're going to call it manual, and it's going to be an anonymous function that's going to give it my birthday, and we'll just return whatever is there. Variable time, because I renamed it. Okay. So let's try this out. Run all tests. They're all failing. Why are they failing? Is this gonna run? No. Wonder. Show and test explorer. Run. It's running somewhere, right? Alright, well, we'll run it by hand. Test add cursor. No clause mention. Oh, find counter information. What am I missing here? Current time. Find counter information. No function clause matching in new passport. It was given. It was given an integer value. Are these still? Let's run all tests. So these are all working. Or this is not enter during business hour. Blue. Oh, doesn't really matter. They didn't teach us any of that. So task 1 is not working completely. Okay. So let's watch this fail. Call the function enter building with the current time given you at the first argument of get new passport. It's now. If the building is open, the function will return a tuple with OK and a timestamp that you will need later. All right, well, I'll call it timestamp because the domain is calling it timestamp. Okay, let's delete this for now because I just want to verify that we can get task 1 working. Run a cursor. Run all. Okay, so that works. Now they're all green. And this is red. Okay. So now we want to do okay. And then call the function find counter information. And that's going to take the timestamp. And it's going to return in a manual representing an anonymous function or a tuple with coffee break. Okay, and more instructions. In your happy path, when you receive the manual, apply it to your birthday. Second argument, it will return a number of the counter you need to go. Return an OK tuple with that counter number. Okay, manual. And that'll take a birthday. And now let me run all tests. So this is now failing. What is this returning? Let's. Oh, well, it's returning. Still should be okay. Run test at cursor. When enter building works, gets back timestamp. Find counter information, accepts timestamp, but it's not, it's using, why would enter building ever return an integer? Oh, it does. Oh. Find counter with the current time. Oh, so that's, oh, that is now. So that accepts now as well. Timestamp's not used yet. That's fine. Okay. So now let's run all the tests in the Explorer. Okay, so now they're all green. And then this is failing because they're on a coffee break. Okay. So all right, let's test the coffee break one. Information counter on coffee break. So do we need to, what are they looking for? They're looking for retry. Haven't even done anything called retry. What are you trying to validate? Retry. Come back in 15 minutes. Oh, okay. Alright, yeah, this is, gotta finish reading your instructions. If you get a coffee break error, return a tuple with retry. Okay, alright. Okay, so let's put our else block and we're gonna match on coffee break. I'm gonna ignore the message for now because I'm just gonna assume that it's 15 minutes. And or this is gonna be a naive diet time. Add, probably add, right? Unit second. So we'll take now. The amount to add is going to be 15, and it's the unit is going to be minute. Okay. Oh, well, I can't. I don't want to return. I want to return retry. And what are you complaining about? Pattern coffee can never match. I'm not gonna be worried about that. All right, let me test this at cursor. That looks good. So now we'll run all tests. These are failing. Why are they failing? Because we're not matching the. We're not matching. We're only matching else. So here, I'm gonna run the test here. So I want to show you. So if I run this at cursor, you'll see that like this is failing with a with clause error, no with clause matching error, city office is closed. So in our else right now, the only thing we're pattern matching is coffee break, the coffee break tuple. We need a kind of a catch-all that like when enter building fails to pattern match okay, it'll fail, and then because we're not specifically matching that specific error, it'll just kind of pass through the error as the result type, and that should fix our bug. So we'll run all tests, and those are all green. Lots of green for task 2. I like. On to task 3. I'm going to close this for a second. For some reason, different counters require forms of different colors. Of course, you printed the first one you found on the website, so you focus on your happy path and hope for the best. Call the function stamp form with the timestamp you received at the entrance. The counter in the form you brought last argument of get new passport. You will get either a tuple with OK and a checksum. that will be used to verify your passport number or a tuple with error. And a message, have your happy path return an OK tuple with the checksum. If you get an error tuple, return it. Okay. All right, so one more clause in our with block. So we are going to be looking for OK and what do we call it? Checksum. And we're going to get this back from stamp form, and that's going to accept the timestamp. And because we're using the timestamp, we're going to need to remove the underscore. Call the function stamp form with the timestamp you received at the entrance, the counter, and the form you brought. Okay, so stamp form's going to take. Okay, so this takes a bunch of arguments. Timestamp, counter, and blue. So this is going to be the counter. Counter equals that. And then oh my lord. Abstraction here is starting to break down. What are we calling this? For some reason, call the function stamp form with the result. You will get either a tuple with OK and a checksum. Okay, so this is going to be I'll just return it for now. I'm missing something. Okay, so so we need it up here. Manual. That should work. So stamp takes timestamp, counter, and form. And that'll return OK checksum. That'll just return OK. What are you complaining about? Missing do. Okay. Have your happy path return an OK tuple with the checksum. If you get an error tuple, return it. Okay, well that should be fine because that will just capture there. Let's run all the Explorer tests and see. So we've got task ID 3, lots of green. That looks good. All right, let's move on to number 4. Finally, you have all the documents you need. Call get new passport number. With the timestamp, the counter, and the checksum you received earlier, you will receive a string with your final passport number. All that is left to do is return that string and the tuple and go home. So call get time compare get new passport number. So this is just going to be that's just going to be a so it's going to be timestamp, counter, and checksum, and we'll just call that passport number, and we'll return that in our tuple. OK, passport number. Now we'll run all the tests in the Explorer. They all look good. Let's run all of them in the console, mix test. They look good. All right. Is there anything we would want to change? I don't think so. No, I'm happy with that for now. Exercism, submit, lib, passport. And we'll open it up and see if the robots have anything to say. Looks good. No errors. We'll take a look at the community solutions. We're getting kind of far in the syllabus, and so there are less and less starred solutions. Honestly, I don't think people star solutions that much, which is fine. But I'll put most starred. I think this is the only one that was starred. So manual, counter number, new passport, coffee. They do a pass through there. You're probably better off having coffee break on top, but that's fine. Cool. I'm happy with that. All right. So with that, we can mark that as complete, and we'll publish our iteration. And we have learned one new concept. We've unlocked 2 new exercises. And my mouse is being real stuttery. I don't know why. And that unlocks with. Cool. Next time we'll probably work on exceptions. So until then, I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, please do let me know. Other than that, I want you to have a great week. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.